This is a cool ancient Roman drama series called Britannia, 43 AD, the Gallic coast. Roman general Aulus Plautius was preparing to send troops to invade Britannia, but panic filled the army. Nearly half of the soldiers believed that the Druids on the island of Britannia had boundless magical powers. Back in the day, Caesar had witnessed the terror of the Druids and even withdrew his troops from Britannia. To stabilize the army's morale, Aulus directly arrested 4 soldiers who were spreading terrifying rumors, then made the 4 fight among themselves, leaving the last one to intimidate the troops. The morale of the army stabilized as a result. That night, Aulus ordered the army to set out. 400 warships, carrying 20,000 elite soldiers, sailed majestically toward Britannia. The next day, before the Roman legions reached Britannia, a man had already sensed the crisis in advance. As a former disciple of the Druid high priest, he possessed some power of nature, but he couldn't predict what exactly this crisis was. So he went to the Druid tribe, wanting to consult the high priest Varan, but Varan drove him away directly. With no other choice, Divus resorted to an extreme method. After drawing runes with mud, he plunged headfirst into the sea, and this was exactly the burial ground of Roman soldiers when Caesar invaded Britannia. The moment he sank to the bottom, Divus's soul successfully traveled to the prophetic world. There were bones everywhere, and a man holding a Roman flag stood proudly atop Lion Mountain. When Divus woke up from his coma, it was already dark. He got up and started running toward the nearest village. The nearest village to him was holding an initiation ceremony on the eve of the solstice. Every 12-year-old child in the village would receive a new name on this day. When it came to the step of carving totems, a girl saw someone seemingly hiding and moving in the darkness in the distance. The elder sister and their father turned around to look, and it turned out to be a pair of fully armed Roman soldiers. The father told the 2 sisters to run quickly, while he and the other adults in the village fought desperately against the soldiers. They were no match at all. Even the village's sacred tree of nature was reduced to ashes in the fire. In a panic, the 2 sisters fled to the edge of the village, but 5 Roman soldiers were hot on their heels. The elder sister decided to stay behind to block the soldiers, letting her younger sister escape first. After killing 3 Roman soldiers in a row, the elder sister was stabbed through the chest with a sword. At this moment, Divus arrived. Seeing that the girl was about to be exposed, he rushed forward, grabbed her by the neck, lifted her behind a boulder, and covered her mouth. On the nearby main road, countless Roman soldiers were marching in order. The attack on the village just now was only carried out by their vanguard. Soon, the bodies of the dead were piled up in an open space and set on fire. Aulus walked to the front of the team and directly planted the flag on the pile of corpses. He wanted to make the soldiers believe that the gods spoken of by the Celts were worthless. The next day, Divus and Cait climbed to a high ground and saw the Roman legions marching westward. There were also many slave carts in the team, presumably the captives from the village the night before. On the Britannic coast behind the legions, more Roman ships were continuing to arrive. Cait wanted to follow the Roman legions to see if her father Sean was still alive, and Divus also wanted to find out who the Roman in the prophecy was. So the 2 set off together, and today was the Celtic solstice. The 2 most powerful tribes in southern Britannia were going to form a political marriage on this day to ease the long-standing conflicts. The location was chosen at the boundary stone on the border between the 2 sides. The first to arrive was the Cantii tribe. Cara, the daughter of Cantii king Polinier, worried that the other side might be up to something, so she secretly followed and hid in the dark. Emerging slowly through the thick smoke was the Regni tribe, led by Queen Antidia of the Regni. The 2 sides exchanged gifts and then began the wedding ceremony. The groom was Polinier's nephew, and the bride was Antidia's niece. When they reached the boundary stone, the officiant tightly tied their arms together. Cara drew her bow and got ready to shoot. At that moment, the officiant suddenly pulled out a knife and slit the groom's throat. It turned out that Antidia had never had good intentions from the start, and the thick smoke was just to hide the cavalry. As the warriors stepped forward to resist, Polinier hurriedly fled back and told Lyndon to capture the bride. After dismounting, Lyndon picked up a long sword and killed the wedding officiant. The bride reacted quickly, drew her long sword, quickly cut off the groom's arm, and then turned to attack Lyndon. Unfortunately, she was soon subdued. Lyndon told his men to take the bride away first, while he stayed behind to block the enemy alone. Meanwhile, Cara in the dark kept shooting down cavalry with her bow and arrow. When Polinier's life was hanging in the balance, she shot down the charging cavalry with another arrow. In this battle, she was undoubtedly the savior. It's a pity that Polinier was not grateful, because the reason why the Regni tribe was at odds with them was all because of Cara. In the previous tribal marriage, Cait had castrated the other tribe's prince on their wedding night. Polynir warned his daughter that she was not allowed to go out without his permission. Cait nonchalantly said, "So am I your prisoner now?" Polynir grabbed Cait by the neck. Seeing that Polynir was serious, Cait had no choice but to agree. Cait also had a younger brother named Phelan. The beautiful woman next to him was his wife Amina. However, Phelan could not exercise his rights as a husband, because at the request of the Druid priest, Polynir had given Amina to the Gaul Lyndon to seek the Gauls' help. At this time, Lyndon, having stayed behind alone during the fight, was hiding from pursuit in the woods. When he reached the main road, he discovered something extraordinary. It was the marching Roman legions, and the team even included ballistas, such powerful weapons. As a Gaul, he knew full well the strength of the Roman legions. He hurried back to the tribe and told Polynir everything he had seen. While Polynir was thinking of a plan, Amina took Lyndon away, preparing to reward him well. What happened next was quite cruel, so cruel that Phelan couldn't help but peek. The woman was very upset and scolded her husband for interrupting her attempt to have a child with the Gaul. She reminded her husband that having a child with the Gaul was a task arranged by the Druid high priest, and even if he was her husband, he couldn't interfere. Phelan knew this well. He just wanted to disturb his wife. After Phelan left, Lyndon also wanted to go out, but Amina stopped him, insisting on completing the task of having a child that day. Meanwhile, as the Roman legions marched westward, they passed through a strange forest, with bones hanging everywhere. It was clear that they had entered the territory of the Druids. When the legion set up camp, a lone soldier was immediately kidnapped. Fortunately, this soldier was brought before the legendary figure, Druid High Priest Verin. To ease the soldier's tension, Verin took the initiative to talk about the soldier's hometown of Numidia. Taking advantage of the soldier's relaxed state, he immediately cast a spell, allowing a spirit to possess the soldier's body. On the other side, Divis and Cait got lost in the woods but encountered a pair of male and female bandits. Divis instantly cowered. He said he could not only offer his food but also give the beautiful girl to them. It was a good offer, and the man agreed. As Divis was leaving, he suddenly turned to look at the man and said, "I seem to have seen you somewhere. Are you from the Western Canyon? I know your mother. We were friends when we were kids. You played at your house. I played at mine. I'd recognize those blue eyes of yours even if they turned to ashes." After saying that, he told the man to put down his weapon, and the man did so. The hypnosis was successful. He then looked at the woman and hypnotized her as well. After questioning, they learned that the two had come from the north and had seen a Roman army along the way, marching westward along the river. Divis was happy. After asking for directions, he kindly let them go. Perhaps it was because Cait was there. That night, the soldier possessed by the spirit returned to the Roman camp and delivered a kingly warning to Aulus. "I am your ancestor. I bring a warning from hell. You have desecrated the sacred land of life. You must leave these islands. You have been warned. Aulus Prii, repent." Aulus couldn't believe it. Could this man really be his great-grandfather? He glanced sideways into the distance and saw several vague figures, presumably the so-called Druids waiting for a reply. So he ordered the soldier to be buried alive, then returned to his tent, wrote a letter, and stuffed it into the soldier's mouth. The next day, the soldier's head was delivered to Verin. When Verin opened the letter, his face instantly turned extremely ugly. Presumably, there was not a single kind word in the letter. Aulus called a Cantii tribe child and learned a lot about the local customs, including the long-standing enmity between the Cantii and Regni tribes, and what kind of existence the Druid priests were. Then Aulus sent his men to the Cantii tribe, claiming to help the Cantii tribe attack the Regni tribe. Polynir could see through their intentions and directly refused Aulus. Upon learning this, Aulus sent his men to deliver another message, stating that Rome's majesty could not be violated. He would kill 2 Cantii captives every hour until Polynir changed his mind. When Cait found out, she hoped her brother would go to the Roman camp to persuade Aulus not to massacre the captives, but Phelan was unwilling to go against their father's wishes, so Cait had to go alone, imitating the Roman soldiers. She also stuck a branch on a long stick to express her desire for a meeting. However, the news of her leaving the city was told to Polynir by Amina. Amina was ambitious and would not miss any chance to strike at Cait, to save her Celtic compatriots who had been captured. Cait went to the Roman camp alone. After meeting Aulus, she asked a classic question, "Are you here to invade us?" Aulus replied, "We are here to cooperate with you." Cait asked, "How many of us do you plan to kill to be satisfied?" Aulus instantly guessed that Cait had come to save the captives. Although he knew that Cait had no real power in the Cantii tribe, he still agreed to stop killing the captives, because earlier, He had learned from a little boy that Kara's mother, once the queen of the Cantii, had been deemed a devil by the Druid priests because she was half Roman, and was eventually skinned alive by her own king husband. In Aulus's view, since the Cantii king was determined to go to war with Rome, supporting Kara might bring unexpected results. On her way back, Kara encountered a small group of Regni soldiers. Fortunately, Lyndon, sent by Polynere to look for her, saved her halfway. Later, Kara returned to the tribe and advanced through a secret passage, while Lyndon reported to Polynere that Kara had never left the tribe. A crisis was thus resolved. When Kara returned to her room, she saw her brother reading the Roman myth books left by their mother. Kara didn't understand Roman, and these books were just kept as mementos of her mother, but Phelan was very worried that these things would lead him and his sister to repeat their mother's fate. On the other side, tens of thousands of Regni tribe warriors arrived outside the Roman camp. No wonder Kara had encountered a group of soldiers earlier. The Roman legions quickly formed a battle formation, with ballistas and catapults ready, but Aulus noticed that the Regni tribe seemed to have come to negotiate. His judgment was correct. To avenge her son's castration, Antidia even resorted to allying with Rome to deal with the Cantii tribe together. Aulus couldn't have asked for more and readily agreed to the alliance. He ordered the army to set out, and they could reach the vicinity of the Cantii tribe and set up camp before dawn. Upon returning to his tent, he found that the soldier's head had come back. It was Druid High Priest Verin replying to him. During the march, he handed over command of the army to his deputy, preparing to keep his appointment with Verin, and only took 2 soldiers with him. The deputy and the centurion came to a path and discussed why Aulus had left, but they were attacked here. The attackers were warriors from the local Cantii tribe. One soldier was so frightened that he fled alone. The remaining soldiers quickly formed a shield formation to block the arrow fire. Seeing that they couldn't break through the defense, the Cantii warriors began to charge in close combat, but the Roman soldiers were really powerful in battle. Outnumbered, they still killed more than a dozen enemies. With a large net thrown over them, the last 2 surviving Roman soldiers were finally subdued. Polynere didn't kill them but planned to take them back to the tribe. On Aulus's side, he told the 2 soldiers to set up camp where they were. If he didn't return by dark, the 2 soldiers should return to the team on their own. Aulus followed the route indicated in the letter, all the way to the Druid tribe, and met High Priest Verin. Verin's purpose was to reach a certain cooperation with Aulus and also let Aulus see his own fate. When he cast his magic, Aulus's consciousness instantly sank into the sea, and then he saw a prophetic vision. He saw his body rotting in a mud pit, while not far away stood a strange little girl holding a burning Roman eagle standard. Next to her stood a blind man. On the other side, Polynere returned to the tribe and gave an impassioned speech to boost morale. The 2 surviving Roman soldiers were locked in the dungeon. They knew they would face inhuman torture next. The soldier knew his will was not strong enough, so he asked the centurion to kill him first, and the centurion didn't let him down, killing him with 1 strike. The soldier's decision was wise. Soon, Polynere came to the cell and began to torture them to find out the Roman legion's troop deployment. Polynere had once skinned his own wife alive, and he treated the Romans the same way. It had to be said that it was quite cruel. The centurion couldn't bear the torture, but was unwilling to betray the legion, so he talked about Kara. He revealed that Kara had met his general, and the general had asked him to send greetings to Kara. Polynere was disappointed. He found Kara and said he had sent a message to High Priest Verin, inviting the priest to decide Kara's fate. Kara got angry as soon as the Druids were mentioned. She persuaded her father not to blindly trust the Druids. This way of believing in the gods was wrong, because Druids were also human, and humans had desires and faults. But Polynere's belief was deeply rooted, saying, "This only makes me more disappointed in you." Kara was then locked in the dungeon. The other person in the cell was Antidia's niece. The woman was trapped in the cage but firmly believed she was the incarnation of a god. She invited the man to spend the night with her. In the prophecy, she would be rescued by a blonde mortal, rule the divine realm together, and give birth to many divine children. To avoid angering the gods, the man had to agree to this not too excessive request. Kara couldn't sleep all night. Next, Anya began waiting for a miracle to happen, but instead of a miracle, she got Kara, who was about to be judged as a princess from a rival tribe. Kara wasn't nice to Anya. Before Anya could speak, Kara grabbed her by the throat and told her to shut up. Kara couldn't sleep all night. The next day, High Priest Verin was invited to the Cantii tribe to deepen Kara's guilt. Polynere took out the Roman books she had hidden, but Verin said he needed to consult the gods first and would announce Kara's fate the next day. Kara was then taken to a new cell. That night, Lyndon came to see her. They'd always liked each other, and on a night of separation that might mean death, they wanted no regrets. After a night of consulting the gods, Varen had received their will. He announced publicly, Polynir must offer himself to the gods. Polynir was confused, but he knelt down devoutly. In the Cantii tribe, theocracy took precedence over monarchy, even if it meant death. Polynir was willing. The Druids first bathed him, then replaced his food with pure, unadulterated fare. By afternoon, Polynir would be taken to the sacred site for sacrifice. Amina was quick to act. She knew that after Polynir's death, High Priest Varen would immediately choose a new king, so she urged Phelan to go talk to Varen. But Phelan didn't dare. Since Phelan was too cowardly, Amina decided to go herself. However, the king she asked Varen to appoint was her new husband, Lyndon. After all, their marriage had been Varen's own doing. Varen refused outright, then said something cryptic, tell her to pray for rain, to beg the falcon to spare the mouse. When that happens, she'll see how miraculous it all is. Amina didn't understand. Outside, a woman explained, he likes you, go sleep with him tonight, and the gods will smile on you. So that's what Varen meant. Amina was shocked. She didn't want to sell herself at that moment, but only at that moment. In the afternoon, they set off for the sacred site. Before dying, Polynir wanted to know the meaning of the runes on his forehead. They were a prophecy Varen had written long ago. A lengthy text. Polynir had always thought they described his great achievements, but Varen told him, they say you brought darkness to your children, that you're a failed father and a cowardly king. Polynir couldn't believe it. The prophecy from the gods was so insulting, with no hint of respect. As darkness fell, Varen raised his curved blade and slit Polynir's throat. While Polynir was still barely alive, he tore out his beating heart, held it high for all to see, then tossed it into the fire. It meant the old king was gone, and a new king would soon rise. Phelan thought it would be him, but Varen directly chose Kara standing nearby. Varen did this because he'd made a secret deal with Roman General Aulus. Polynir had opposed Rome, so they took the chance to get rid of him, then put Kara with Roman blood on the throne. What a shame! The devout Polynir had been played for a fool by the Druid priests, and so Queen Kara took power. The next day, Polynir's eyes were gouged out, all his bones pulled out, and replaced with oak. The process was truly terrifying. Only then did the sacrifice end. Meanwhile, Cait went to the outskirts of the Roman camp and witnessed her father being blinded. Divus hypnotized two of Aulus's personal soldiers. One carried the other's head back to the camp, muttering repeatedly, "We're all dead men." The soldiers saw it as a bad omen, gathered outside Aulus's tent, and demanded the cursed Roman soldier be executed. Cait took the chance to slip in and rescue her father. Divus searched the camp for the Roman in his prophecy, and finally saw it was Aulus. Aulus ordered the soldiers back to their tents. No one dared defy Aulus's order, so the soldiers dropped the matter. The next day, Divus went to the Druid tribe alone, wanting to tell Varen about Aulus's prophecy, but the tribe was nearly empty. He asked an old man, who said everyone had gone to the Cantii tribe. He also learned that Aulus had been there, and Varen had used his powers to show Aulus the future. Divus's gut told him this held crucial information, so he jumped off a cliff and plunged into the sea again. His powers were limited. This was the only way. In hell, he saw Aulus's prophecy and finally learned Cait was the chosen one who would destroy the Roman legions. To get Varen to change his appointment, Amina decided to sacrifice her body and pleasure Varen, but the female druids told her, to see Varen, she must first pass the other druids' test. Desperate, Amina agreed. Her husband, Lyndon, watched silently from nearby. When Amina entered the tent, she found the testers were all men. An old man blew a powder at her, making her dizzy. Then the test began. When Lyndon walked in, he saw a disgraceful scene and Amina seemed to be enjoying it. No doubt from the powder. Confused, Lyndon turned and left. The test lasted hours. When Amina sobered up and left the tent, it was dark. She stumbled toward the amber sanctuary, but collapsed from physical pain. When she finally reached the sanctuary's outskirts, she saw Varen crowning Kara. Her efforts had been a joke. Following tradition, a prophecy was written on Kara's face. Meanwhile, Phelan doubted Varen's decision. He went back to the tribe alone and learned from the Roman centurion that Varen had met with Aulus. In exchange, Phelan freed the Roman centurion. With no place left for him in the tribe, he fled with Anya. Kara asked Varen to interpret the prophecy on her neck. Hope lies with the blind father's daughter. Since her father Polynir had just had his eyes gouged out, she thought she was the prophesied child. Varen didn't correct her, no doubt plotting something. The next day, news that Kara had become queen reached the Regni tribe. Anti-Diel was shocked. She'd always believed in the gods, not the Druids, so she added Varen to her hit list. After returning to the Cait tribe, Kara demanded the nobles swear loyalty to her, including Amina. Amina took the chance to cut off a lock of Kara's hair with a knife. Back in her room, Amina used witchcraft to curse Kara to a bad end, begging the devil to come help her. Meanwhile, Aulus began meeting with various factions. First, he met Varen. They understood each other about their deal. Varen got a large sum of money but kept a secret trick. He made a straw doll, threw it on the ground, and watched who'd pick it up. Aulus's adjutant finally picked it up, planting a seed for future upheaval. Then Aulus met Antidia. She demanded he lead the Roman legions to besiege the Cait tribe with her. They'd agreed earlier, so Aulus agreed outwardly, but had other plans. With Polinier dead and Kara friendly to Rome, allying with Kara was what Aulus really wanted. He rushed to the Cait tribe, but as he entered the palace, a strange woman stopped him, said many odd things, then was dragged away. Aulus was confused but remembered the beautiful woman. Meeting Kara, he told her about Antidia's siege plan, offering to help her instead. Kara feared a trap, saying she'd give a reply the next day. Meanwhile, Amina failed to summon the devil. Desperate, she prepared to leave the tribe. Outside, she met a menacing man, Divus, possessed by the devil. With Amina's help, Divus got into the tribe and found Cait hiding there. During the chase, Lyndon stopped Divus. Lyndon was quickly beaten, but Cait took her father and ran. Kara saw them and remembered the prophecy of the blind father and daughter. Could the chosen one be this girl, not herself? She led them outside, only to run into Aulus. This was a big problem. Aulus instantly recognized Cait as the girl in his prophecy and blocked them. It was about her people's fate. Kara refused to back down. She called in guards. This was her territory. Aulus couldn't force things, but Kara didn't dare keep Cait. She took the father and daughter to a secret passage, told Cait she was the chosen one, and sent them away. After they fled a ways, Divus caught up. Luckily, Divus's own soul took over, letting the father and daughter escape. After this, Aulus refused to ally with Kara. The Cait tribe would soon face a joint siege by Roman legions and the Regni tribe. With Britain's strongest Regni tribe and 20,000 Roman soldiers united, the surrounded Cait seemed doomed. Yet Queen Kara still had hope. The tribe's food could last until winter. She thought when the Regni and Romans would have to retreat. The situation stabilized for a time. Roman general Aulus plotted something else. He hired bounty hunters to catch the chosen one in the forest. Describing Cait's features, the reward, 10,000 coins. The hunters were two Assyrian brothers, a North African man who trained eagles, and an Irish female assassin. The female assassin found the brothers, bought their crossbows with all her money. They were thrilled, unaware of the trouble to come. Hours later, the brothers found clues to the chosen one. The female assassin, following them, overheard everything. The brothers were no longer useful. She appeared suddenly, shot them with their own crossbows, then took back her money. The eagle trainer was also tracking the chosen one. Thanks to his eagle's vision, he was close until an arrow killed him. The female assassin was truly fierce. She then used his poisoned arrows to finish off Blackbeard. Following tracks underground, she kept chasing. Divus and Cait knew nothing of this. After leaving the Cait tribe, Divus regained his senses, settled Cait's father, and began teaching Cait Druid skills. But Cait was slow, never remembering the hypnotic incantations. Divus mocked. How could the gods choose a fool to save Britannia? Cait was crushed. Meanwhile, something happened in the Roman camp. Aulus's adjutant, who'd picked up Varen's straw doll, lost his mind after Varen cast a remote spell. Aulus noticed the strange behavior. He knew Varen's tricks well. He grew wary of the adjutant. That night, the adjutant tried to assassinate Aulus, but stabbed Aulus's scribe instead. The adjutant soon regained his senses, staring at the mass, lost. As an old friend, Aulus didn't kill him, just ordered him to leave the legion, never to return. Big things also happened in the Cait tribe. Lyndon snuck out at night, killed the guards at the granary, and burned it to the ground. He'd been Antidia's spy all along. Antidia wanted to speed up the siege, so she'd ordered Lyndon to take the risk. Kara was devastated. That was all their food. The fire lit up the sky, making Antidia overjoyed below. Cait fell into deep guilt, blaming herself for being weak, for getting her sister killed. She even thought of hanging herself to join her sister. After comforting her, Divus went to the river for water. No sooner had he left than Cait tied a rope to hang herself. Divus was attacked and female assassin emerged from the river. Divus took a knife wound, and before he could recover, he took several more punches in a row. Finally, he suddenly summoned all his strength and threw the female assassin to the ground. As he pulled out a small knife in pain, the female assassin charged at him again. Divis quickly grabbed her by the throat and began to cast a hypnotic spell. The female assassin, familiar with Druid skills, gave Divis no chance to cast the spell. In the throes of suffocation, Divis felt around for the small knife that had fallen nearby. He erupted with all his strength to fight back, but the knife was snatched away. The female assassin first stabbed him in the abdomen, slashing deeply. Then, as Divis was consumed by intense pain, she drove the knife hard into his back. The female assassin's strength was terrifying. Divis, having taken 3 stab wounds, was kicked into the river by her. He seemed certain to die. The female assassin then found Cait, and to her surprise, the little girl regarded as a savior was there, hanging herself. To save her or not, this made the female assassin, also a Celt, hesitate. In the end, she chose to save her. However, she didn't take Cait to the Roman camp. Instead, she first buried Cait, leaving only a breathing tube to sustain her life, then went to the Druid tribe and demanded that Varen pay double what Aulus had offered. With Britannia's future at stake, Varen didn't dare to gamble, so he paid up, and the money, which he had gotten from Aulus earlier, was put to good use. On the other side, Divis's body drifted downstream and washed up on the shore. A brown bear saw it and was overjoyed, hurrying over to check if it had gone bad. If not, it could just about manage a bite. But Divis wasn't dead yet. As is well known, Druids have the ability to communicate with animals, so he chanted a spell, instantly turning the brown bear into an obedient cub. And once he saw the bear had calmed down, Divis picked up a small knife nearby, suddenly stood up, and stabbed it. Soon, Divis pulled out the bear's tendons, tied them to his teeth to make a crude suture needle, and then began stitching up the wound in his stomach. As for the one on his back, since he couldn't reach it, he'd just have to tough it out. He went to the small river from the night before, only to find Cait was gone. There was also a piece of cloth from the noose on the tree, clearly cut by someone, from Cait's shoe. He immediately began to divine a prophecy. Suddenly, images of Cait and Varen flashed in his mind. This matter must be related to Varen, so he set off for the Druid tribe. By afternoon, he finally reached the outskirts of the Druid tribe, just in time to see Cait being dug out of the ground by several Druids. Cait was still alive, and the weight he'd been carrying in his heart finally lifted. As he snuck into the Druid tribe, he was spotted by Varen. He said he only wanted to protect Cait, and by the way, asked what the prophecy about Cait really meant. The plot is about to reach its climax, because at the same time, Kara, driven to desperation, found Aulus and said she was willing to surrender. She said to Aulus, "You can do whatever you want with me, anything you want, just please spare my people." Aulus didn't respond directly, but said something cryptic, "I'll show you how the Empire works." Then they went outside, and with a single order from Aulus, a flaming arrow streaked across the night sky, signaling all Roman soldiers to attack. The target of Aulus's attack was his own Regni allies. The two camps were not far apart. Round after round of catapult fire soon turned the Regni camp into a sea of flames. This was followed by a volley of flaming arrows, which was particularly visible from the Cantii tribe on the hilltop. Lyndon gasped. The Regni tribe he'd sworn allegiance to would cease to exist. In the end, the Regni warriors were completely wiped out, leaving only Queen Antidia to regret for the rest of her life. Aulus hinted at what came next, and Kara instantly understood, turning to walk into the tent, and Aulus, as she expected, lowered the tent flap, but Kara quietly gripped the hidden knife, waiting for Aulus to get close so she could deliver a fatal strike. Yet she was stopped. It turned out Aulus's goal was to find out where Cait was, and Kara had no idea. Even if she had known, she would never have told him. Aulus warned, "I'll give you one last chance. If you still refuse to tell me, I'll have to ask your heart." Kara knew what that meant, but she didn't flinch. Instead, she tore open her clothes, vowing to prove her innocence with death. Aulus actually did swing his knife and stab Kara. While Kara was still breathing, he brutally ripped out her heart. Britannia suffered a heavy blow. Not only was the Regni tribe destroyed, but the Cantii tribe also lost their queen. Yet hope remained. When Cait woke up, a prophecy had been carved into her forehead, and Varen took her outside, letting Divis take her to continue her training. As for Amina, Aulus installed her as the new queen of the Cantii, to help him conquer Britannia together. I'm a movie enthusiast. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.